Right, so AEW held their 2025 WrestleDream pay-per-view last night, and as always, there is so much drama and so much from the show to talk about. AEW pay-per-views are always a roller coaster of highs and lows, and this one was no different. There is so much to discuss with AEW WrestleDream 2025. So enough chit-chat, like the video, and let's get straight into it, as the build to WrestleDream 2025 was definitely less than stellar. It was a shorter gap between pay-per-views than usual, as All Out wasn't too long ago. It was quite recent, in fact, only taking place last month. So AEW had to cram a lot in there, and I don't think they did it very effectively. We reviewed the Go Home show, and it wasn't a very good Go Home show to send all the angles home for the pay-per-view. But regardless, we're here at WrestleDream. The card is looking good, and the show opens immediately with a match already on, as the FTR versus Jet Speed match that started on Tailgate Brawl carried over into the main show, and the main pyro went off as we were midway through this match already. I did actually watch this match from the start, as I did tune into Tailgate Brawl with the women's tag match and continued on from there. That women's tag was pretty good as well. It's a fun tag team match with FTR and Jet Speed here, and the crowd are super hot for this one. I think they got amped up even further when the pyro went off. I gotta say, it was a really cool visual. That is AEW to me, but this was a justified sneak onto the main card. They justified carrying over onto the main card. There was a really cool Shatter Machine transition from FTR as the pin is broken up by Bayley's shooting star knee. Dax and Mike have a 1v1 power slap, and then there's a very questionable near fall which seemed like a 3 before FTR steal the win with the help from Stokely at ringside. Yeah, a fun way to open the show that wasn't meant to be the opener. Really enjoyable stuff from both teams here, and a really cool, unique way to open the show with the pyro and not just carrying on with the pre-show. It's a good decision AEW made there. Good quick thinking if that was the case. Before we get some more action, we get some words from Charlie Thez, the wife of the late great Lou Thez. Great to see her here in attendance, as next up is Jamie Hayter versus Tekla, which I believe was going to be the original opener probably, and I also believe would have been the first time an AEW pay-per-view opened with a women's match. I could be wrong on that though, so let me know in the comments if I am. Everyone's banned from ringside for this match. It's a straight-laced one-on-one, and I'm really glad this match is on the show. It's been building for a while, and I thought it would either be on TV or the 0 Hour or Tailgate here, but they did it on the main card, and I've given AEW for their women's division booking, so I gotta praise them where it's due. I'm glad this match got the spot it deserved, because this match and feud had some actual heat. It's been ongoing for a while, and the fans were invested in this match. It was a good slow build match with Jamie Hayter and Tekla here. Tekla was healing it up good all match, including on Charlie Thez, which was pretty funny to see. It's an intense and physical one, and everything in this match feels earned, as the selling and the psychology in this one was very good, and there was some really good details. Like at one point, Jamie Hayter hits a backbreaker, and before going for the pin, she just forearms her for extra good measure. It's little details like that. Hayter kicks out a Tekla's spear, then Hayter reverses the second attempt with a Hayter raid, hits another one, and gets the win. I wasn't expecting Jamie to win this one, but I liked this match a lot, and I'm pleasantly surprised by how much time that was given. It would be unheard of just a couple of weeks ago for a non-title women's match to get 15 minutes plus on an AEW pay-per-view main card, so great to see. And hopefully this is a trend for future shows and isn't just a one-time thing for WrestleDream. Great job from Jamie Hayter and Tekla here. And the next contest on the show is the Jurassic Express against the Young Bucks in a $500,000 tag team match. The Young Bucks get a broke entrance. They have insufficient funds. The transaction was denied, so the broke Bucks gimmick continues on. This was very 2019 AEW, this match, and of course it was. It's two OG teams of AEW here, and there was so much 2019 AEW slash pandemic AEW slash general Young Bucks nonsense in this one. It was a fast-paced, fun match with a super hot crowd. The teams obviously and visibly have fantastic chemistry with some very cool counters and spots, and also, you know, your AEW classics like your shoulder fight and stuff like that. I do think it went on a bit too long though, they gotta learn when to take it home, but the Jurassic Express get the win with their awesome double team finisher. I'm very glad Jurassic Express are back, and this match just put them right back on the map in the tag division. And we get some post-match nonsense with Kenny Omega and the Don Callis family, at least Kenny got on the show I guess. And next up is the Hurt Syndicate versus the Demand in a 3v3 tornado tag match. This has been a really fun TV-centric AEW feud. This is the third match they are having. The Demand won the first one, the Hurt Syndicate won the second, and now this third one is for the World Trios title #1 contendership. And this was a fun one and a great way to end this feud. I really did enjoy this one. It was a tornado tag, but it wasn't a super big like weapons fest like they usually are. It was a pretty straight-laced 3v3, and there were some good spots, of course, with Shelton Benjamin in there. Can't say enough good things about my boy Shelton Benjamin. He's been one of my favorites since he came to AEW, and I would still love to see a singles title run. TNT title, let's do it. One thing that did surprise me though in this match is that the Hurt Syndicate got the win, and so they are now the #1 contenders for the Ops Trios titles. They're facing the Ops this Wednesday. I really thought the Demand were gonna win, but it does make sense why the Hurt Syndicate win, as we'll find out later with the Ops later on. Good match here, but up next is a big one for the TNT title. It's Kyle Fletcher defending against Mark Briscoe in what I believe is their 5th match they've had. They faced on Ring of Honor for the world title, they faced each other in the C2, they faced each other in the Owen Hart, and now they're facing each other in the TNT title match. One of the most random combinations of guys in AEW who for whatever reason just have great and unexpected chemistry, and I'd probably say that of their 5 matches they've had, this is their best one. It went the longest as one of the longest matches on the show, going 25 minutes, and I think it justified that runtime given how personal and long this feud has been. It's the 5th match they've had, and with Briscoe coming off that big win over MJF, you would have thought he went for the world title next, but instead he's gone for Fletcher here, so I think at the very least they've done a good thing to give this match a lot of time, and it's one of the few matches on this card that does fully justify its runtime. A hard fought encounter, some great spots. Kyle Fletcher kicked out of the Jay Driller by getting his finger on the ropes in the best near fall of the night, and he goes on to retain his belt here in a match that I thought a couple of times that Mark Briscoe was gonna take it, and they nearly got me on it, and a match that I think was one of the best of the night. Next up though, it's AEW Women's World Title action as Timeless Toni Storm looks to regain her belt back from Kris Statlander, who in my opinion has had a great Women's World Title reign so far. There's individual pre-entrance video packages for both women in this match, which I thought was cool, and it was a fine one from these two. I kind of felt like watching this, it didn't really feel like a feud ended though, so maybe they meet down the line again, but Toni should not win this belt back from her at all anytime soon, or ever. It was a fine solid match. I do think the ending definitely put it up a couple more ratings though. A good ending with Kris Statlander kicking out of Storm Zeros and hitting her finisher to pick up the win over Toni Storm and get the victory. I think it was quite predictable that Kris Stat was going to retain here, but nonetheless, some good stuff. And post-match, Mercedes Mone interrupts the celebration to make her entrance as she is doing an open challenge on this show. And yeah, on my AEW Dynamite review I recently did, I criticized the fact that Mercedes Mone was seemingly going to only appear on this show in a segment and didn't have a match, but it was announced just the other day before WrestleDream that she would be doing an open challenge, where it would be an open challenge for any other champion who would also be putting their belt on the line alongside the TBS Championship. At first I thought Kris Statlander was going to stay in the ring and answer the challenge, but no, sure enough, it's Mina Shirakawa who answers the challenge. I gotta say, I think it was a bit of an underwhelming choice. I like Mina, but why do this open challenge gimmick when it's someone who's faced Mercedes Mone about 3 or 4 times already? I think this is the opponent Mercedes Mone has faced the most times since leaving WWE, is Mina Shirakawa. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, it was an F match. It was a solid 5.5 to 6 out of 10 in my opinion, as Mercedes wins with her foot on the ropes, getting the tainted victory. We've just seen this match so many times before, and it felt more like a TV match, more like a story device of a match that is setting up for a match with someone else, which it seems is the case here. But yeah, it's another belt for Mercedes Mone. She picks up Mina Shirakawa's Ring of Honor Women's Interim Television Championship. That's a mouthful. And yeah, to be honest, I'm kinda over the belt collecting stuff. I think it's a cool visual, it's a cool achievement, she has all these belts, and it's great that she appears on all these indie shows and stuff outside of AEW, but I think that's how it should be. I think we should keep it away from AEW and away from AEW TV, and she shouldn't do the belt collecting on AEW or Ring of Honor belts. But unfortunately, that wish doesn't seem like it's being kept. We'll talk about that in a second. As up next is the AEW World Tag Team Championships that are on the line. It's Brody King and Bandido against Konosuke Takeshita and Kazuchika Okada from the Don Callis family. And yeah, this was the other match of the night contender alongside Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher, in my opinion. Hey, I gotta give it to the Don Callis family. As much as they dominate TV time and do these excruciating all-star tags every single show, they do deliver when it comes to title matches on pay-per-view. Yeah, what an encounter. This is the kind of stuff that the AEW tag division felt like it was gonna be when AEW first formed, a main event level division. This really was here in this match, a main event level match with 4 main event level talents. Okada and Takeshita had great chemistry with their half-hearted tags and not really wanting to do it and tag each other in. Some great stretches and great sequences in this match. I'm still thinking about that Okada mid-edge dropkick he did to Bandido. Oh my word, that looks beautiful and smooth and hard-hitting as. And yeah, just an insane match with, shockingly, while Brodito winning and retaining wasn't shocking, Okada took the pin here, so that is a very big moment and definitely going to be a big story device in the Takeshita and Okada future feud and Takeshita Don Callis family explosion that is definitely being set up right now, or at least I'm hopeful is being set up right now. Takeshita is the guy to beat Okada, that is no doubt in my mind, but will Samoa Joe be the guy to beat Hangman Adam Page for the world title belt? Well, let's find out, as that match is up next. Is Adam Page defending his world championship against Samoa Joe of the Ops, friends turned rivals for this match. And yeah, I don't think the build to this one was super sufficient, but the crowd was still hot for it, so there was still at least some heat for it. They're very lucky that Adam Page and Samoa Joe are 2 established top guys in AEW that will always have fan support. Yeah, it's a hard-hitting one. I like how the size difference came into play in this one, with Adam Page having to do extra to take Joe down, and Joe not going down from everything that Adam Page hits him with. Sometimes it would only make him stumble or wobble him. I love stuff like that. It was a match that got faster as it went on and kept progressing, with Adam Page up in the ante to take out Samoa Joe. And it's a great finish from Hangman Adam Page here as Joe kicks out of the Deadeye, so Hangman proceeds to hit him with 3 buckshot lariats to finish the job and retain his belt against Joey Samoa. And post-match, the Ops are in the ring and Hangman and Joe are praising each other and showing each other respect, you know, they're boys. But then the Ops inexplicably make Ops out of Hangman and turn heel as they attack him after the match. Okay, I was not expecting that, but I am more than welcome to see all 3 of these guys in heel form, especially Samoa Joe is a masterful heel, and it's great to see Hobbs back in that spot too. And yeah, it makes me wonder what's next for the Ops, what's next for the Trios title, and what's next for Hangman and the World title, as obviously the Ops are facing the Hurt Syndicate for the Trios belts this Wednesday, so maybe the Hurt Syndicate will win that to get the belts off of the Ops, and then the Ops will go and feud with Hangman Page. We can get a rematch with Joe maybe, a match with Hobbs would be awesome, a match with Shibata would be cool too. But yeah, AEW have definitely created some intrigue going into Wednesday, which AEW isn't usually very good at doing post-show dynamites, post-pay-per-view dynamites I should say, but there is definitely some excitement going into this one now. Then we cut to a quick backstage segment as Mercedes Mone is backstage, and I alluded to this earlier. She then challenges Kris Statlander for the women's title at Full Gear. And listen, I loved the matches that Mercedes Mone and Kris Statlander had at Full Gear last year, and I believe at World's End last year as well. And I've always said that Kris Statlander should get her win back over Mercedes Mone, but I hate that they're doing this belt collecting stuff in AEW and it's continuing. And I think the thought of Mercedes Mone ending Kris Statlander's title reign this early to collect another belt as another prop really sickens me, and I don't want to see that happen. I'm more than happy for this match to happen. I think it should probably main event if it does, and hopefully it gets a good build if it's being announced now. But yeah, under no circumstances can Mercedes Moné win that match. I'm excited to see that match, it will be fantastic, but Kris Statlander needs to win. Her reign cannot end this early to give Mercedes Moné just another belt. However, it's main event time finally, and as I predicted, Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley in their I Quit match is the main event for this show, and I guess it does make sense and it is warranted. This match has been built up for a very long time. WrestleDream last year is also where the storyline began, with Moxley defeating Bryan Danielson for the world title belt. So it's a full circle moment, and this match has definitely got a lot better of a build than Hangman versus Samoa Joe did, so it's definitely warranted and deserved. They got this spot. And yeah, obviously with this match, there's a lot of crazy spots in this one as expected, including various forms of torture. There's skewers involved underneath the fingernails, oh god, drowning attempts as well. But none of this is really unexpected, is it? I do kind of think they could have done more here though. There was nothing out of the ordinary here for Mox and Darby Allin. It did feel like they were just having an extreme match, a very hardcore match, without any intention of making the other quit. Like, there was no point or no moment where it felt any further that they'd gone before, and it didn't feel like they were going to quit at any point. I think the fish tank stuff is the most far that they went, and the finish itself was also a really weak finish in itself too. As Sting makes a surprise appearance to help Darby Allin out, that was great. However, after a coffin drop from Darby and the Scorpion Deathlock locked in to Jon Moxley, Moxley then quits very quickly. Really? After all that punishment in the match, which Moxley didn't even go through all of that much until this point, and this is what got him to quit. Happy to see Sting, I'm happy to see him as part of the finish as well, but really, just the submission hold is what got Jon Moxley to say I quit. I just don't believe that. I've seen Moxley go through far worse. I mean, he literally had an I Quit match with Hangman earlier this year, so I've seen a lot worse Moxley go through than being locked in with a Scorpion Deathlock, but I thought it was alright. Not the best match on the show by any means, not even in the top 4, I would say, but it did obviously warrant the main event spot. Darby Allin getting the win though, definitely the correct decision. It feels like this storyline has been going on for a very long time. I remember when Darby Allin was going to be the guy to beat Moxley for the world title belt. Imagine this was it. Imagine it took this long and Moxley was still the world champion. Oh my god, AEW would be so different right now. I probably wouldn't even be watching. But yeah, that's about everything I have to say about AEW WrestleDream 2025. On screen right now are my star ratings. Feel free to observe them. Best matches of the night were obviously Brodito versus Takeshita and Okada, and Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe. I did also like Jamie Hayter versus Thekla a lot as well. I think that was my personal favorite match of the night, just because it brought something different and unique to the card. Despite the fact I rated other matches higher than it, I think that was probably my favorite. Overall, I give the show 4 stars, otherwise an 8 out of 10. If you want to know my star rating key, this is it. This is how I rate wrestling matches, and this is how my star ratings kind of translate, in case you need to know and are desperate to know for whatever reason. Yeah, good outing here from AEW for WrestleDream 2025, coming right after WWE had a good outing with Crown Jewel. I think these two were very close in quality, and the critiques I'd have for the show is that the commentary wasn't very good for most of the show. I thought it wasn't really good at all. I think the commentary in AEW has been on a downward spiral for a year or so. Nigel McGuinness, I think, is really the only one that belongs on that desk. I think Bryan Danielson being missing from commentary was definitely noticeable in this show. I also feel like Monet and Mina didn't feel like a big pay-per-view match as well, and it being shoved onto the card just didn't help anything. And as always with AEW pay-per-views, they were too long. This will always be a problem with AEW pay-per-views. I will mention every time. I always end up asleep before the end of the show, and a few matches definitely overstayed their welcome and didn't warrant the run times they got, even as good as they were. But yeah, as I said, 4 stars for AEW WrestleDream 2025. Let me know down below what your star rating for AEW WrestleDream 2025 is, and that's about all I've got to say about the pay-per-view that took place last night. So if you did enjoy this video, then smash the like button and comment down below your thoughts on the show as well. Subscribe with notifications on so you never miss a video on the Top 10 Wrestling TTW channel. I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye and keep on rolling.